What's up, guys? Ultimate Nova fan here. Today's video we are showing more of the Nova universe, particularly three villains in the Nova universe. Surprisingly, these three villains aren't, or in this case, were not created for this book. What does that mean? Well, the three guys on the screen here is Dr. Sun, the Yellow Claw, and Sandman. What I did not know reading these books when I was a kid was that Dr. Sun and the Yellow Claw predate the man called Nova. The Sandman, however, is in everyone's conscious. We all know him from the Spider-Man universe, and sometimes you learn something along the way. Not a big fan of two of these three characters. Obviously, I love the Sandman. And I don't mean obvious like you know that. I'm just saying it's the Sandman. Come on, we've seen him now. We know who he is. He's part of the Spider-Man Rogue Gallery. He is a staple of Spider-Man conscious. But I guess at some point you have to keep giving a superhero villains to fight. And apparently there either was a box with names that they drew, or someone went, hey, let's do that. That may be cool. So what we have here on the left is Dr. Sun, and yeah, hold on for a second. I just want to zoom in, give you a better look at the books. There you can see where everything starts for me is now the source material. And remember, we're doing a loose description and definition of these characters. So I have a book over here I'm going to talk about just yet that deals with another character. So we have Dr. Sun. This is my interpretation on the left here of the character cartoon wise. I drew that from a lot of images online, and it's funny because there is a couple of different perspectives of this character that you can find, and a lot of it is really a robot with a encased brain as the head. And I love science fiction, fantasy. I'm that guy. Space movies, you name it. I'm all in. So the story behind him is goofy but unique, and I guess just believable enough in that whole science fiction realm. He was a guy who was part of, I think, the Republic of China. Very vague on my memory of all this. A lot of this comes off the top of my head, but experimenting with, I guess, brain transplants, and not obsessed over, but clearly was trying to see if he could put a living brain in a artificial intelligent apparatus, mainly probably a body. And I think he was having medical issues, which ultimately led him to pursue this endeavor. But at any rate, he did it. He did it. He was able to put a brain in a body, and I don't know if it was his original work or not. I think he worked for a organization that was experimenting with technologies like this, and he was part of the organization and then used uh, the methods on himself. And apparently, he also has origins rooted in the Tomb of Dracula Marvel Comics comic book. Because apparently, I think he has a thirst for blood and a need for blood to survive. Um, at some point, I think the Sphinx recruited him to help him defeat Nova. I don't think there was anything specifically going on. I think he also gets tied in to Nick Fury, which is another character that makes an appearance in Nova's book, but that's for another video. So I again, I created the character from the pictures that I saw, And I like robots. I like spaceships. I like space. I love that stuff. And I remember it's very important that everybody knows one thing. Um, Star Wars, for a lot of people, is the introduction to the space opera. And there is a generation that predates a lot of us that the old black and white serial chapters was the grandfather of it all. But somewhere between now and then, there was um, cheesy B sci-fi movies. That I'm still astounded that this book predates by 1 year the release of Star Wars. Anyone who was invested in Nova and loved science fiction was in love with science fiction for everything that came before Star Wars. That's astounding. That's astounding that literally Nova is older than Star Wars. That his character and the concept is older than Star Wars. That everything we love about Star Wars, we believe everybody has been inspired by Star Wars. So I've always had a kick out of, or got a kick out of knowing that this stuff for me, it wasn't about, oh my God, I need every as much as I can get of space now because Star Wars was the bomb. No, I was already in that imaginative state as a kid, and again, there's Dr. Sun, my creation of Dr. Sun, and as much as I can remember about the character. And again, like I said, his origins have nothing to do with the Nova book. He predates the Nova book, but you can find him apparently in one or many adventures or episodes in the Tomb of Dracula Marvel Comics book. So let's move on now to the next character, which is the Yellow Claw. Now, I have to believe this was political. If you go back and watch, and I don't want to go with obscure references, so let's just assume for a second that some people know about it and some people don't. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the old 1940s Superman Max Fletcher cartoons. They're heavy on that era, and that's the way Captain America was also depicted in an era. So we understand good versus bad, or should I say good versus evil, right versus wrong, good versus bad, and what was perceived as enemies, and in some instances, enemies of the state. So the Yellow Claw may be a very stereotypical character by today's standards. Hell, he could be a very stereotypical character by old standards. But having said that, world domination, I want to believe that they might have used um, uh, the slur or slang of communism and the books that he was in. I think he's heavily tied into Nick Fury's books, the Agent Nick Fury books. But I digress because when I saw this character, there was a lot of kung fu movies. There was a lot of post pro-American, anti whatever, and you pick the villain or the enemy if you choose to. I won't speak out loud of those groups of people, but it wasn't that we were going through a phase of Marvel and Nova being pro-America. It was just this character is rooted in a time in our American history where there were obvious villains and threats to America and our liberties and our way of life and the flag and the Constitution. And he represented an old Hollywood era as well, a literary era of threats. And um, I don't know. When I think of Iron Man and uh, the guy who was the Mandarin, and he's just supernatural. He's mystical. He's got rings. Uh, this guy, yeah, he has some powers of persuasion. the ability to manipulate people and get them to do what he wanted them to do, and he could use illusions to conjure up people's fears and something of that nature, something like that. But I did, and they changed the art style of the book by this time too. I found myself not liking Nova book towards the end, not because of the stories, but because the art had changed, and I didn't really like that art. And again, now you got characters I'm not really feeling, and I don't want to start crapping all over the book. I just want to say that at this particular time, I was still invested in Richard Rider and his Nova abilities more than anything else. But let's move on. We have here last in these collection of characters here today, the Sandman. And yes, he's gone through a lot of changes in his clothes over the years as the Sandman. But I can tell you that when they introduced him in the Nova series, one thing was a standout was that now he had completed 1 year of his book. And now they were introducing the second year of his book, and they started it off with a bang and basically introduced the Sandman as a now big league villain. And it's the Sandman from the Spider-Man universe. It is him. And oh man, are you kidding me? First we get in the first year we get Big League Nova as a superhero. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I apologize. Not Nova, but Thor as a big time fight against two Marvel characters, one young and new, and the other one a veteran with the god powers. And now we get a well-known, established villain that Nova now will have to show us what he's learned in these issues, or in this case, we'll learn new things about Nova. Man, I couldn't believe I saw him on the cover, and it's done very well because it gives you all of that up and down. The young kid, he's probably out of his league and over his head, and there's some great panels in this, and um, it's just a very good issue. It was a very smart idea. It is to me one of the top rank issues of the 25 issues, and I think I captured this character's costume really well considering that I looked at a lot of stuff to see if I could get the detail down, and I don't like doing that. I don't like trying to get every single aspect because it gets in my head and takes away from the flow, and then it transforms into something that when you start seeing what I'm going to do or what I've done, you start thinking it don't match. It doesn't match to have such highly detailed characters with such poor animation, or having gorgeously drawn characters looking so static on the screen. I found something in the middle that I can be proud of to create a type of medium that I enjoy doing that does not cheapen my experience, but I don't boast or brag, and I am not trying to peddle or bait and switch or let anybody down or disappoint anybody after all the build up. So if you look at the character, you can see I got the essence of his belt, the mask, the shoulders, the chest, his uh, I don't know if we call that underwear. I think that's goofy to say underwear, but the pants. Let's just go with pants. And I zoomed in to let you see the detail. And again, I don't have all the views here. Where am I showing all the views? But there's the belt. There's the head. I'm sorry, the chest and the shoulders and um, the mask. And I've done 8 views of these. 8. One straight ahead, one from the back, two from the side, from the front, two from the back, side, and then one of each side. When I was in my zone and I was creating these characters one at a time and trying to get at least the illusion that I knew what the costume looked like from all angles. There was a moment I was thinking, man, this is turning out to be a pretty good creation, and that was not with any understanding of anything other than I knew now I could create characters. I knew I could put them together, and I was gonna be okay because you would know who they were, and that was the big reward for me, and it still is. You know, I'm becoming more satisfied with knowing that I'm putting myself out there to everyone as a creator of content more than a true animator. I don't want to disrespect anybody's legacy of the masters of animation out there, and the ones who have gone to school and are learning the craft and know all the intricacies and the terminology and methods. That's not me, but I am not going to minimize my enjoyment, this fulfillment that I have now doing this. So these are the characters that I've created. These three particular characters come from other books. Nova is still a very rewarding project that I'm doing. And yes, again, I forgot the one thing that I said I would do in every video, which is just goofy at this point, isn't it, people? It's really goofy, but yes, they move. Look, Sandman here, head swivel, body turn, arms, leg, you name it, I can do it. Uh, again, just let's have some fun, people. That was a little difficult making this body. Drawing characters and then bringing them into this program to move is one thing, but you can't move everything. If you create them inside the program, you can move everything, which means not just this body part I can move, but if you look very carefully at the garment that covers his um, lower region, I can move points in that to make that sway like fabric. Couldn't do that with a hand drawn character. So there's a beauty in this, an appreciation that, if I ever go, like I said, next level, watch out. But right now, it was to get it all done, put it all out there, worry about the critique later, um, be proud of myself, humble also, and then we go from there. So look, he's moving. Anybody who's ever drawn anything in their lifetime and went, man, it would be cool if it was a cartoon. First time you see something you bring to life on a screen moving, you start thinking you could do anything, and then you get a rude awakening that you're nobody yet. So that's who I am. So this is the latest video in a series of videos showcasing the art and the history of Nova, and more to come. So Ultimate Nova fan, signing off for now, and thank you again everyone for watching.